Welcome to our daily clarity and focus session here at Consulting Unleashed. Today, I want to talk about leveraging or scaling through utilizing what I call resource partners and contractors. When we're in our agency, in our infancy in our agency, what we find ourselves in a situation is oftentimes we will fulfill our agreements with our clients. So we might have some skills in Facebook ads, we might be good at AdWords, we might be good at building funnels or automation or email marketing, we might be a good web developer, a graphic designer, a copywriter, and so we generate a client for ourselves, and we then tend to fulfill our agreement with that client. So we have a contract, an agreement, we have a project, and we go and do the work. So we do the fulfillment. And in that fulfillment, we get caught in the weeds. So if you're like a web developer, you're going to do some coding, you get some design, and you're going to get some copy, you're going to create a website, and you tend to be the person that drives that project for the client. And in that, you've got some systems and processes, you've got questions you need to answer, there are resources you need from the client. So the same thing with advertising, running an ad campaign on Facebook or AdWords, you've got to take a client through the process of having you deliver the work, right? So in fulfillment. And so what happens is, as a freelancer or somebody who's kind of just starting out, you'll get to a point of capacity, and that capacity is generally going to be around that 5 to 8 clients. 5 to 8 clients is probably where you're going to max out. That means that depending on what you've charged or what you've actually billed out to the client, that's essentially where your income is going to be capped at. So to give an example, let's say you're a Facebook person and you charge your clients, let's say $1,500 a month for management, and the client's spending between $1,000 to $2,000 on ad spend, and so you get 5 clients on board, and essentially you're making $4,500, right? So what's that? 3. So 2 at 3, 4 at 4.5, 4 at 4.5, 5 at 6.5. So 5, 4.5, 5.5, 6. So it's $6,000 with sorry, my brain was trying to act there. You're at $6,000 with 6 clients. You're making $6,000 a month in money, so which is $72,000 a year, right, in revenue when you do that. So you're stuck. You're managing the ad accounts of 6 clients, and with that, you're getting, you've got to create the copy, you've got to get the design element right for the creative, you've got to optimize the accounts. So essentially, you've created yourself a full-time job, and you're getting paid $6,000 a month from, for basically for 4 customers. I should say 4 clients. 4 clients paying you $1,500 a month is $6,000, right? Sorry, my brain fell out of the math there in a moment. So you're dealing with 4 clients, you're making $6,000 a month, 72 grand a year. That's not bad, personal income, that's okay. But you're working full time on managing these clients because you're doing everything. You're doing all the fulfillment, you're developing the strategy, you're tweaking the ads, you're managing the spend, you're monitoring the A/B split testing, you're optimizing, you're doing that sort of stuff, and that's what you do. So you're going to cap yourself out. Generally, I see people capping themselves out 5 to 8 clients. 5 to 8 clients is where they start to cap out if they're working in their business individually. That means you're really busy, and that right there is you cannot bring on any more clients, right? So you're going to cap yourself out between that $6,000 to $8,000 a month mark, and that's it. Now, the problem is if a client leaves you, you're going to lose a chunk of change. And generally what I find is you lose more than 1 client at a time. So not only you lose 1 client, you might lose 2 clients. So if you've got 4 clients paying you $1,500 a month, you go from $6,000 to $3,000 a month because 2 people decide to leave for whatever reason. So this is the up and down spiral, right, of being a freelancer. So to be able to grow your business successfully, you need to be consistent in generating clients. You need to actually start to incrementally bring clients on every month. Even though you're going to hit capacity, you still need to bring those clients on. Because if you bring a client on every month, that's 12 clients in a year. If you're charging $1,500 a month per client, so now what are we doing? We're up around $18,000 a month in recurring revenue. You're making about 240 grand a year, which is not too bad for a lifestyle business. But you're managing roughly 12 clients over that year if you're maintaining that level of income, right, in the marketplace. So if we know this, if we get caught up, fulfillment is where we get stuck. That's the bottleneck. Because if we're fulfilling, we can't be doing marketing, and we certainly can't be doing selling. We could do some marketing, but we're going to do it in our own time. And selling is we've got to try to fit those sales opportunities in around all the work that we have to do to fulfill for our clients. So we cap out. So what do? And this is what most people do. The first thing they do is they hire a contractor. So they'll hire somebody like a VA or a PA or somebody who might have some skills to support the process of managing the client. This does free you up of some time, but what happens is now you're having to manage that person, because they're a task-oriented person, full time. So if you've got them on working with you 10, 20 hours a week, you're going to spend 10, 20 hours discussing, telling them, showing them, giving you a system and process. And oftentimes you won't be developing a structure. So you're going to work even harder by hiring a contractor. So this is hard work, right? So hiring an independent contractor, then you need to know, are they skilled? Do you need to train them? How much are you going to, what can you afford to pay? All these considerations come in. But however, to scale your agency business, you need to hire. You need to hire. And what I've done with a lot of people that I've worked with is, rather than hire an individual, hire a team. But hire a team at a level that gives you a certain amount of revenue, right? So you've got a certain amount of cost in that hiring. So there are a couple of different things. Most people go to sources like Upwork. They'll go to what we call white label people in the marketplace. And so what they're doing is they're leveraging their time by hiring a team. I would rather hire a team than hire an individual, because an individual can disappear on you. I can tell you countless times where I've worked with people who've got a contractor, and in the middle of a project or a campaign, the contract just disappears for 2 weeks. Because you understand that this individual independent contractor is not necessarily just working for you. They might be supporting 4 or 5 other people. And in that, they're probably supporting 10 or 15 other clients as an individual. And remember, they only have a certain amount of capacity. And so all of a sudden, the priority, you are not a priority, right? Or the priorities will shift depending on the demand for that person's work, right? So this is going to create problems or challenges if you don't find the right person to work with. That's not to say that you shouldn't be hiring independent contractors. There's many fantastic independent contractors. I hire them all the time, every week, for different projects and different things. But I look for independent contractors tend to be task-oriented projects. I don't tend to hire them for long-term engagements. But if I have a task, I'm going to hire somebody who's got some experience, and I want to push that task down, because my time is more valuable working on developing my business than it is in, scraping a list, right? Or it is in managing an ad account, right? It's much more valuable. So I'm going to push that down. So the second part of scaling comes into hiring what we call them in Champions, in our groups, we call them a resource partner. Essentially, a resource partner has a team. They already have a team. They manage hundreds of agencies or freelancers just like you in the marketplace. So they can manage that, right? Because they've got several people working. Now, the cool thing about these types of companies is that they have internal training. They have systems and processes that you can use to leverage your business. They have a structure. They have costing structures. So you can actually build your margins on top of what their costings are. So you can actually have a very defined service offering, and also allows you to actually build packages and different products under your banner, right, utilizing a team. So just to give you an example of this, I had a web development company that I ran. I got into the whole idea of building websites for businesses, but I don't know how to code. Thank God I'm not a coder, right? I don't know how to, manage plugins on WordPress and all that sort of stuff. I know that these are important things, and I know there are fundamental things to make a website work effectively, and I know that design and copy and functionality and making sure the site is set up correctly, all of these things are important. I understand the fundamentals of why a website is important and what goes into one, but I can't make you one. Now, I know there's lots of free services out there where you can do plug and play, drag and drop, all that sort of stuff, but at the end of the day, I'm not a designer, and from a functionality point of view, I'm not your guy. So what I did was I did the next best thing, and this is how I scaled the business, literally within 10 months to $800,000. I found a company that had a team of designers, not one designer, but a team of designers. And I found a company that actually understands the philosophy of direct response marketing, or conversion responsive type marketing, understands copy, understands that the user interface is important, understands the element of design in relation to how you can maximize your opportunity to convert or engage an audience online. So I found one of these companies, and they had a team of 30 designers, and they had developers, and they had all these sorts of people, and they built thousands of websites. In fact, they built iconic websites for some of the largest companies in the world, right? And so, and in multiple niches, in multiple genres. So I could go vertical. In fact, I chose about 3 different verticals, and because I had examples, I didn't even need a website. right? So what I would do is I would hire their team to develop the sites for my clients. We went from zero to $800,000 in website revenue in 10 months, and we did not even have a website because my website was not important. The websites that we delivered to our clients was important, and how we delivered that was through a resource that had systems, processes, great designers that would provide exceptional service at a very moderate cost so that we can put our margin directly on top of that. So leveraging or scaling through teams or for an outsourced provider is something that's been happening for a long time. The cool thing is that if we look at the brick and mortar world, if we look at, say, for example, the telecommunications industry, the accounting, the finance industry, for years before the online digital world was doing this, for years, these organizations were outsourcing to teams of people in India, in Southeast Asia, in Singapore, Hong Kong, in Europe, right, to Ireland, right? They were outsourcing years before the word outsourcing came to be a fashion amongst the digital marketing space. And if we look at, from our predecessors, if we look at our grandfathers in the digital marketing, in the advertising agencies, even back in the day, David Ogilvy, the founder of Ogilvy Mather, the first billion-dollar ad agency in the world, even back then in the 70s, they were outsourcing their production to other countries and other parts of the world so they could deliver those results to their clients. Even back then, the advertising agencies were already outsourcing, right? So the way, and that was one way they could manage their costs, but number two, it was a way that they can scale and leverage. So if you have a team of people rather than an independent contractor, you're going to get a much stronger result. And then you actually understand a defined cost structure for your business, and you understand a defined outcome that you can deliver, especially if you're doing things like Facebook ads or AdWords or SEO or those sorts of things that you can have, because these are very task-orientated things in terms of process. The part where you need to look at, or where you need to adjust your thinking is if you're really good at strategy, then you are the strategist. If you're expecting your resource partner to be the strategist, then you need to look at probably spending a little bit more to find a company that does that level of work. Most resource partners do the fundamentals. They'll set things up, they'll create things, they'll manage and monitor, they'll do all the things that fundamentally make what it is that you deliver work. This is why this offers you massive leverage. So from a hiring point of view and a scaling point of view, there's a couple of people that I would hire. If I'm getting to $200,000 worth of revenue, the first thing I look for is a part-time executive assistant. The reason why I need a part-time executive assistant is so that person can help me manage my customers, the 6 or 7 customers I got. They can start to look at developing processes, systems, structure. I say part-time, you're probably going to pay this person maybe $2 grand a month. If you're earning 20 grand a month, that's a no-brainer. You can do that easily any time of the week. Even with your costing structure. But this is going to help you to leverage, right? If I'm running an ad business, what I would do is I would get an ad manager, right? I wouldn't get an EA, I would get an ad manager. And I would say, great, let's get to 10 clients, let's get to 5 or 10 clients, hire an ad manager to do all the ad work so I can go and get more clients. Once I hit 10 clients, then I'm going to hire an EA, right? So if I need to take myself out of the equation, I want to hire somebody that does my thing so I can go and acquire customers. That's what you need to be looking at for your business, right? When you're growing your business. So first hires, either somebody's going to manage an account for you, the grunt work, that's one hire. If you want to scale and leverage from process systems to get more, then I would hire an executive assistant, right? So the way I would look at my structure, it would be great. I'm running a Facebook ad agency. I've got an ad manager person here, or I'm using a resource partner to do delivery. I've got an ad manager to make sure I'm managing my accounts and managing my clients so everything's working. And then I can go out there and sell and scale and grow and focus on strategy, right? My next hire, when I'm hitting that 200 to 300 grand, I'm going to hire an executive assistant. The cool thing about an executive assistant is they are process. So there are different levels here. I just need to explain to you. An EA, there's a VA, virtual assistant, very task orientated, probably cost you about $3 to $5 an hour for a VA, right? Then we have a PA, somebody with a little bit more skill, a little bit more experience, a personal assistant, someone who is with you near location. They are not virtual, right? So they are in real time. Task orientated, a little bit more experience. You're probably going to be paying anywhere between at the low level, 10 bucks an hour, at the high level between 15 and 25 bucks an hour, right, for a PA. Now, an EA, an executive assistant, is somebody that has experience and has worked with leadership, that has worked with a CEO or C-level executive, somebody who's had experience for 4 or 5 years, somebody who communicates in the language of the person they work with, somebody who can think on their feet, somebody who understands process, organization, structure, somebody who's going to work with you closely to actually build your back-end systems processes, somebody who's going to free your time up, manage your calendar, manage your email, start to look at the process areas of your business and start to create functions, right? This person in your business is a game changer. In fact, an EA can turn into somebody like a operations manager. So this is a very inexpensive way to get a really good quality operations manager, right? So once we've got that happening and we've got our process and systems, then we can hire key people in like project managers to have roles within our company, right? Remember, if I want to scale, I'm going to go to a resourced partner, person who has a team, millions of dollars worth of funds under management, those sorts of things that I'm looking for, because that'll scale my business. I'll actually be able to go and accelerate faster, because the number one core function of your business from the 100 grand mark to the $1 million mark is just sales and marketing. That's how you leverage and you grow your business. So to be able to do that, you need those functional core pieces. You need you need either a resource partner or you need the management person for the accounts to manage customers. Generally, you're looking for an individual. One person can manage 30 accounts. So before you hire another ad manager, you can have 30 clients. 30 clients paying you $3 grand a month, right? That's 30. So 30 clients, so 3 3. So it's $90,000 a month, right? $90,000 a month, you're running a $1 million business, right? You're running at a $1.1 million business at 90 grand a month, right? So understand, right, that you can leverage and scale without having a huge team. But that executive assistant hire is going to give you all the opportunities to actually structure your training, structure your resources, processes. Super important hire for your business, right? From there, you're going to hit that $1 million run rate. So the mindset, right? To get to 100K, that's all about in your head. What's in your head? From mindset, we go to sales and marketing. From 100K to $1 million, everything's about sales and marketing. To be able to do that effectively, you need to build a team. You need to have your resources or your systems or your management of clients taken care of. Fastest way to do that, outsource it to a white label provider that does the work for many companies, who has a team, who has training, who has support, who has systems, makes your job a lot easier. Then you're going to have key roles. EA, account manager, right, in the call. The next hire after that, project manager to scale. But the next hire is you want to get to sales. You want to hire sales, right? So in that, from sales, to get the first sales, what I would do is I would hire what we call an SDR, sales development representative, and appointment setter. The number one thing is you want people setting appointments for you. If you are running a company, you're the salesperson. So you need appointments. So rather than you having to get appointments, set up a lead machine or generate leads, get a person to set appointments for you. The idea is to get 10 appointments a week. If you're doing 10 appointments a week, that's 40 opportunities a month. 40 opportunities a month, you're going to be closing between 5 and 10 deals, right? 5 and 10 deals, 40 opportunities a month. Now, some appointments are going to work. I would probably say on average, you're probably going to be getting about 6 clients. With 40 appointments, you're going to close 6 clients, because not everybody qualifies. Not everybody's perfect. You're going to have to filter those. So now that you've got somebody that's giving you appointments, now you're generating clients. Now you need your executive assistant's systems and processes to kick in, right? You need that to kick in. And so that means you now are going to hire a salesperson. The day you hire a salesperson, because you need to know your numbers, right? The day you hire a salesperson is when the business changes. You start to go to a whole new trajectory in revenue, because hiring salespeople is leveraging you. And the idea is to take you out of that equation and start to replicate yourself in scale, in growth, right? So now here's the thing, you can outsource sales. You can hire a sales executive team, somebody else's, to do all your sales for you, and you pay them a percentage. I've worked under a model where I paid 20% of all the revenue to the sales team that worked outside of my company, and their role was to bring in clients, and that's what they did. We provided them with the training, the support, they would train and support, and we would pay them 20% of the revenue, and that was perfect. because we were able to scale a lot faster. Now, in our current agency, we did that internally. We hired one salesperson, then we actually took an SDR, sales development representative, and turned him into another salesperson, and now we end up with 5 salespeople. So we have 5 salespeople attributed to key products and markets in the market. So in other businesses, I've hired an outsourced sales team to sell what we do. In our business right now, we've hired an internal salesperson to do that. It can work in both levels in terms of structure. So you can actually outsource sales to scale. So that model, 100 grand mindset to get there. Once you get there, it's sales and marketing to get to $1 million. What do you need? You need to get one manager or project manager to do the grunt work, right? Then you hire an EA or an executive assistant. That person is going to be worth 3 people to you. Not a VA, not a PA, an EA. Hire them part-time, turn them into full-time. A good EA will go for between 40 and if you're getting an amazing one, it's like 75 grand a year, but they're worth their weight in gold. Like one EA was like hiring 3 people. That's going to save you, they could save you easily $100,000. But on average, you're probably looking about anywhere between 3 to 5 grand a month is about the average for an EA. Worth every penny. That's why you've got to be at around 25 to 30K to be able to accommodate that salary, right? Because that person is just going to free you up and you're going to actually go and do more sales, right? So from there, once we hit the $1 million, it's all about management. Now it's about leadership. Now we've got a person who's managing our sales process. We've got a person who is actually going to manage our operations. We've got a person who's managing our customers, our customer service. We have a person who's in charge of administration. We have a person in charge maybe of marketing. So we're starting to build a leadership team so that we can scale from $1 million to 5 million. And that's the process. So the fastest way to scale is to actually hire outside of yourself to leverage a resource provider in the market, not contractors. I'm not saying don't use contractors, but generally you pay for what you get. The less you pay, the less you're going to get, right? A lot of people get frustrated. Hire for cultural fit as well. I've often found that I've hired people in my, we work globally or with clients all over the world. We hire Canadians because they're a cultural fit. We hire people in the United States. We hire people in the Philippines, those that have had education in the US. They understand the culture. We've had a good cultural fit for those markets. Now, to give you perspective of where the best types of people for the best types of services. Southeast Asia, all task orientation, perfect VAs, PAs, ad managers, anything task orientated. The Southeast Asian countries, Vietnam, Philippines, Singapore, Hong Kong, all those places. Japan even has great outsourcers. China has amazing people for task orientated tasks, right? So if you want design, I've always found for some reason designers in Eastern Bloc countries or former Eastern Bloc countries like Romania, Bulgaria, the Czech Republic, the Ukraine, right? These places, for some reason, they've got amazing graphic designers, right? Amazing graphic designers. Ireland is a perfect place to find a lot of great IT or tech savvy people. So these are the areas I'm looking for people that I find those people with skill. And the American dollar goes a lot further in their markets. That's why those countries appeal to me for those things. Now, where do you find them? I've found some of the best graphic designers on Fiverr. Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, right? There's some amazing graphic designers from those people because they show you their experience. I've found people from there. In fact, I've taken them off that platform and hired them full-time in my company when I've found really good designers. So you can find some great designers on things like Fiverr. You can find great ad managers on Fiverr, right? So all those sorts of things. So design, Eastern former Soviet bloc countries, Eastern European countries, lots of great designers. Coders, anything of the former Soviet Union, right? Ukraine, Belarus, all those sorts of countries in Russia and also in the Scandinavian countries and in the Baltic states or the Baltic countries. Amazing programmers, amazing developers, totally undervalue themselves. You can get some incredible talented people in those markets. So when I'm looking for developers, I'm looking towards those countries. Again, the US dollar carries a lot of weight in those countries. So from economies of scale, it's a lot less expensive to generate people or teams out of those countries. Copywriters, Generally, good copywriters are going to be people who are local to your market, to your cultural fit. So if you're in the US, I would be hiring US copywriters or Canadian copywriters, people that speak English, Australian copywriters. Those people tend to have literally a high level of skill, but they also understand the cultural language. So you're going to get a better result. South Africa is a great place for hiring copywriters at low budgets, right? So if you've got low budgets, you can hire some pretty good copywriters out of South Africa because the Krugerrand is worth nothing. So your US dollars or US dollars carries a lot of weight in those markets. So copywriters, SEO, Southeast Asia, India, all day long. Southeast Asia, India, all day long for SEO. Some of the best SEO specialists in the world live in Southeast Asia. A lot of the best white label providers. So content creators, Southeast Asia. Lots of content creators in Southeast Asia. Again, these types of things tend to be orientated. So things like video editing and production, that sort of stuff, Southeast Asia all day long. There's some amazing people who have great talent and who can work very fast in terms of doing automation, that sort of stuff. I would be looking for cultural fit for automations, right? But understand that if by plugging in all these pieces, this allows you to scale, right? You cannot build, there are exceptions to the rule, but it's going to be very challenging to build $1 million plus agency without hiring people. It's going to be nigh on impossible to do that. In fact, I don't think I know anybody that is an independent person without having some form of input of a team to scale and develop their business. So you're going to have to hire. If you want to scale and build, you're going to have to hire. It can't be just you. You can be the freelancer and you can make a pretty good income as a freelancer. There's a lot of people out in the marketplace right now where, you know, they're making 200 grand a year and they're happy. The problem with that though is that it will run thin because you're only going to be working that hard for so long before you go, you know what, I need to hire people. I need to take some time out, because if you take time out, everything stops, you know, income stops. You have to actually work for your clients. So somebody has to be there. And if it's not you, it has to be somebody else, right? So you can make a pretty good living as a freelancer and you can do really well. I know lots of people who love the freelance lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with that. But year in, year out, it becomes unsustainable, right? Because what happens is you're going to get into cycles of revenue. You know, some years is going to be great. I've worked with a lot of freelancers who literally go, you know, 1 year I made 100 grand. The next year I did like 60 grand, right? It just goes up and down, right? There's this cycle. Yeah. And that's because they're not building a real business, you know. You don't have system structure. You're not consistent in your marketing. You're not, you know, the primary core functions that you need to be focused on in your business, like any business, you've got to have a way to consistently generate leads. You've got to have a way to nurture those leads into sales conversations. You've got to have an optimized sales process to help people to convert them into a process. Then you have to deliver a result to your clients. So you've got delivery as part of your function in your business. And the last thing is you've got to retain your customers. You've got to keep them paying you, and you've got to resell and upsell them to other services you provide in the market. These 5 core functions allow you to scale, right? Any one of these areas where you lack is going to hurt your business. And the majority of things that I see in the marketplace is people just do not spend enough time actively engaging customers in the marketplace. They just don't. I ask this question in rooms, you know, when I'm speaking at events and things like that, and I'll ask this question. I was in a room with 1,000 agencies. I was sitting there at a conference. I was talking to 1,000 agencies, and this was my question. I said, hey, I just want to ask a very simple question, right? How many people here want to increase their revenue by 30 to 100%? Who here is kind of thinking about their business, about their agency, that if we looked at the next 12 months, that as a good goal, if we were to aim, how many people here want to add 30% to the revenue, right? And the majority of people, right, wanted to add either 30 to 50, and there was a portion of people that wanted to double their company, right? These are agencies. These are people who had, you know, 10 or more employees. Roughly, this was the audience that I was in. There's 1,000 in the room. So everybody said, yeah, I want to make 30% more. Yeah, I want to do 50. Yeah, we're going to go double our business, right? So then I asked this next question. I said, great. How many people here this week on their calendar for your sales, right, have got 3 presentations booked? How many people here have got 3 presentations booked this week, right? And out of a room of 1,000 people, there were like 4 hands that went up. And without 4 hands that went up. So then I said, great, let's look at last month. How many people here right? And I wanted to keep their hands up, right? How many people here brought one client on board per month? So you know, a good one client last month. How many people? So a good 50% of the room had brought on a client last month. They all put up their hand, right? Then I said, right, keep your hand up if you brought 2 clients on board last month, and then a whole bunch of hands dropped. Keep your hand up if you brought 3 clients on board last month, and a whole bunch of hands dropped. Keep your hands up if you got 4, 5, 6, until I got to the number 10, and there was 2 people that held their hand up and said they got 10 clients a month, right? Now, the majority hands that dropped at 2. The majority, and most of the hands, I was left with only a handful of people that were above 2 clients. And I said, how on earth are you going to grow your business by 30 to 50 or 100% if you can't even generate more than 1 client per month for your business? It is going to be physically impossible to do that, which tells me that none of y'all is focused, or none of the people in this room are focused. I just did a yawl. Did you notice that? I spoke Texan for a second. You know, none of the people here, right, are going to grow their business because you don't actively engage customers. You don't actively engage prospects, right? Because most of you, and these are agencies, 80 to 100% of your effort is relied on generating clients from referrals. And it's going to be impossible to scale to that extra 30% or 50% or 100% if you don't actively engage. And that's what I'm seeing most people don't do. And this core thing, if you don't actively engage, you're just nowhere, right? You're nowhere, right? So understand that at the end of the day, you've got to focus on making that reality become real for you.